The second match on Sunday evening is at 4 o'clock in Chadwicks Wexford Park. It's in between Naomh Éanna and St Martin's, and the referee is Dan Crosby. And it's going to be another very entertaining semi-final. And I suppose we'll go to you first, Brendan. These two teams have played each other quite a lot recently as well. Do you think it's going to be kind of an open enough game, or is it because that they know each other so well, it's going to be a tough, tight match?
Well, sure, look at I suppose it'll be a lot to do with matchups maybe as well, and who hurls on who, and like you've the county champions playing the former county champions in St Martin's. Two of the best hurling teams in the county. We had the privilege of playing both teams this year now as well. Probably, we felt we should have bet the Martins ourselves, and obviously last week against Gorey, sure that was a huge disappointment for us. So.
So you've seen both of them teams up close, is right? Yeah.
We've seen them up close, but at the same time, when you sit back and watch them then as well, they're two good hurling teams. They've loads of experience, loads of talent everywhere. The Martins, there were a lot of lads to bring on as well that can change the game, and had a huge influence the last day against Ferns. So, you'd expect a very competitive game there,
And I suppose the last couple of years they played each other, so give us a brief history on how they got on against each other.
Yeah, three years ago, remember the match went to extra time and penalties. It was the best club match in Wexford Park for years, actually it was, and it was a shame that there had to be a loser in it. Really, it was a very good game. And then 2 years ago, the Martins bet Gorey. Gorey would have been favourites that day, and last year it was the opposite. The Martins were favourites and Gorey turned them over. But the two of the best teams in the county. Definitely they are, and Brendan alluded to the match against Ferns. Some of the players that the Martins brought on that day, Conor Farman, former county hurler, Barry O'Connor, what an impact. Conor Coleman 1-1, Joe Coleman at point. They've a very, very strong panel. We're hearing rumours that Gorey are short a few players, and if it's true, there will be a big loss. Aidan Doyle, Gary Malloy and Keane Malloy, three of their better players, so we'll have to see what team takes the field.
Yeah, and Ed alluded to there just the strength of the St Martin's panel, and probably at the moment is that what kind of sets them apart to probably most other teams in Wexford Senior Hurling Championship.
Yeah, definitely. Like when you can bring on the likes of as Ed said there, Barry O'Connor and Conor Furman, Joe Coleman, all these fellas, they contributed 1-5 in the second half against Ferns, and if you've a bench that can come on and score that for you every day, you'll go a long way in any game, But in saying that, Gorey are county champions. They do have Conor MacDonald of Paddy Doyle hurling very well from Charlie McGuckie, and arguably one of the best club players in the county, a playmaker in his own right. These lads, if they are given room to hurl, they'll destroy any team. So,
And just say both semi-finals now, Ed, just say quick run through of listen, of course they've won both semi-finals. You've a man beside us here who's very, very close to win that match, but a quick rundown of just say how the two teams, both quarterfinals, how the two teams win the semi-finals.
Brendan doesn't need me to tell him that the Harriers looked like they're going to win, but I think looking back on reflection that Gorey showed a lot of character. They showed the experience they had as well. I know Lee Chin was missing and a serious loss. If he had been there for the last 5 minutes to even stand under a ball, never mind catches, but I think Gorey did show a lot of experience, and that experience comes with being champions. And Conor MacDonald, maybe he didn't have his greatest game, but he still scored 3 points and he still practically won the game for Gorey. And how many times has he done that? He's a brilliant player, and Charlie McGuckie outstanding as well. But the other quarter final, the Martins, Ferns came back at the Martins and were only a point behind, but then with the introduction of Barry O'Connor in particular, I thought he turned the tide. I thought everything he touched turned to goal. He set up numerous scores and scored a point himself. I think if I was over the Martins now, I'd have to consider starting Barry O'Connor, and Rory mightn't have had his greatest game either, but there's always something in Rory, when he hits the business end of a championship, he could tap in 2 goals in a shot, and his display against Hughes, Brendan, was just exceptional.
Well, sure, that's it. When you have those big players, they can always, even if like Conor Mac I thought Richie Keogh did an exceptional job on him the last day. He was standing on him, kept him very quiet, but still at the same time, as Ed said, he still chipped in with a couple of scores, won a vital free at the end that they got the goal off. So big players like that can turn games, and you know, I suppose as we said there, like you know, the Martins, like Barry O'Connor, what a player to be able to bring on. You know, Conor Coleman, as I said, coming on getting 1-1. You know, when you have that little, it's a great headache to have when you have a bench like that, and you know.
I felt myself now, Brendan, that the two best players they had against Ferns was Daithí Waters and David Codd.
Yeah.
I think David Codd is playing a great role for the Martins.
Yeah.
You know, they have Joe O'Connor as a sitting number 6, and David Codd is the man protecting him.
Yeah.
Joe was very good too.
Joe's a very effective player there at the back too, very
Yeah.
confident on the ball and coming out. I'd imagine like Daithí Waters would probably be picking up Jack Cullen. You know, two big men there, wing back. So that's a key battle in that match. You know, it depends on the supply of ball that maybe Conor McDonald can get, and Rory O'Connor at the other end. So it's going to be a very interesting game, you know.
And just say before, of course, Naomh Éanna or Gorey played G in that quarter final. I suppose you're looking at, something was in the back of my head is, I think that was 5 weeks they'd gone without playing a hurling match, and I think in the meantime they'll play 3 football matches.
Yeah.
So of course, listen, they'll probably come on a ton from your match because of the way they won the match, which of course will bring on any team. But really the fact that they've now played a match, just say a previous 2 weeks rather than having to wait 5 weeks and play, because playing 3 football matches in between 2 hurling matches is definitely not good preparation.
Yeah, definitely. Like it'll definitely hinder your preparation, because when you have to take your focus off of hurling to go and play another sport, you know, naturally you think you're going to come back to it as you left off, but that's just not the case. And you know, probably Gorey will say to themselves that they were very lucky to win that match based on the fact that, you know, that was another contentious issue there about having a 5-week break. Was it going to be to your advantage or not? And now maybe Gorey will say that it wasn't to their advantage in this case, but at the same time they still managed to win the big game, you know. The
cream still came to the top. The two, number 1 and number 2 in each group are in the semi-final now, so you know, the cream did come to the top.
Yeah, no, it has, and it's probably maybe, listen, there's been a lot of given out about just the new system, and listen, it was funny because after both preliminary quarter-finals there was not a lot of talk about saying how can you have the 2 teams that didn't win a match into it, but now once just the first kind of set of all the quarter-finals are over, the 4 best teams or 4 top seeds are in the last 4, so maybe it does justify that the system did actually work.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I know those people giving out about if you finish 6th, you could still win the championship. But I did say at the start of the year, if you finish 6th, I think it's very unlikely you're going to win the championship. You know, and as I said, the top 4 teams are now in the semi-finals. So,
well, so we currently St Martin's manager is Willie Cleary, who, listen, he got Naomh Éanna over the line with their first senior hurling title, and listen, Justifiably will be probably known as one of their greatest ever managers for doing that feat, and all of a sudden now he's in the opposition dressing room, and he would know most of them Gorey players inside out, and I suppose there's 2 ways of looking at that. The Gorey boys are like, well, we don't want him to get one over on us, and he's going, well, I don't want them to get one over on me. So like, how do you think, just say I know him himself, just say Willie will be thinking going into this match going, oh, listen, I've sold with these fellas for so many years and now I'm trying to do them down.
Well, sure, I'm sure it's a case of mixed emotions. You know, he's probably not the most popular man in Gorey now at the minute, and you know, they'll know what he'll be able to bring to the Martins dressing room. You know, and he'll know in the Martins dressing room what Gorey are capable of and how to maybe work that. I suppose he'll look at it as in a sense of, you know, success to be able to be involved with 2 teams, you know, 2 of the big teams in the county at this knockout stage again. So again, you know, I suppose that's it's a hard one for me to call now on how Willie Cleary's feeling right now. But.
And what about, and the teams themselves, will either team get extra motivation with a manager like that, or is not just, or is that kind of history?
Well, it's time for me now to put you straight now, Paul. Actually, Louis Cullen was the manager of Gorey when they won. He was the trainer. And I think
apologise to Louis, right?
I think you may apologise to Daithí Hayes as well. I think he's the manager of the Martins. So Willie is.
I apologise to everybody.
Willie is the trainer. Willie is a very good trainer. You know, he's had success nearly everywhere. The last Rathnewer team to get to a county final, he was manager. He was very successful with UCD. He's after being with Wexford on 2 occasions under Liam Dunn and Dar Egan, and you know, he won that elusive title with Gorey, their first title, and came back 2 years later and gone to a final against the Shells. So, you know, I think Willie's used to training teams, and I think lads like that are able to move on, and I'm sure he has a great affinity with Gorey, but still, I'd say that'll be at the back of his head now Sunday, I'd imagine.
And then on the other side, you're looking at James Quirk, just said that coach, trainer, whatever.
Yeah,
I won't say manager anyway, but literally he's coming from a completely separate side of things where he has no history at all realistically, but it's probably a lot easier on him than to come in and...
Yeah, absolutely. But I met James and we had a fundraiser in the Harrow, and he's very, very knowledgeable about hurling, and he comes from De La Salle, and him and Ger Cush, one of Gory's greatest ever. The two of them are together, so I'd say it usually doesn't come down to managers when we get to county semi-finals. Usually comes down to players. All great managers have one thing in common: they've all great teams.
Right, okay, finally then we'll go to Brendan here beside us. Brendan, prediction on the match. Listen, it's a hard one to call as well, no different in the first semi-final, so 30-40 seconds, why and who?
Yeah, I kind of just have a sneaking feeling that the Martins are probably, I just think they'll shade this one. I think they probably have the stronger panel, and as we said, when you've a lot of experienced players, a lot of talented lads to bring in that can change a big game, I think that will have a huge bearing at the end of the day. Look, it depends on weather conditions as well. If you have a bad day, it could even the thing up. You could, these lads could have a big impact. Gory, as we said there, maybe with the few players that are going to potentially be out, is that going to have a huge bearing on it? But at the same time, they're county champions, they're there for a reason. They ground out a victory against us the last day. They're more than capable of winning this match, but I just think I think the Martins might just shade this one.
Right, fair enough, and I'm going to ask the same question to Ed, and I won't let you off with an answer where you say I think one team will win it, but don't be surprised if the other one wins it.
Yeah.
Right? We need a proper answer out of you today.
Look, yeah, Brendan is right. Gory got over the line against the Harriers, and that's usually a good sign for a team. But you have to remember, if those three lads are out, they're a major loss to Gory. At the start of the year, I went for the Martins to win the county title, so I'm not going to change my mind now, but I do think it'll be close.
Right, it'll be a close match. But we have two St Martin's verdicts left and right here, so I'll be picking the middle again, and I just think that listen, I'm just going to go for Naomh Éanna due to the fact that they are the champions. Somehow they beat the Harriers in that semi-final when they shouldn't have won it, and maybe that's a sign of a team that has a small bit of luck, and maybe that luck will carry them all the way to the final.